Very good evening and welcome to News Tonight on Rajya Sabha television. I am Aishwarya Kapoor, your host for the show tonight. All the big stories from India and across the world coming up in the next 30 minutes. So let us start with the news bulletin. And in a fresh order on Wednesday, the Home Ministry allowed people stranded outside their states to travel to their homes if they do not have any coronavirus symptoms. The Home Ministry ordered all states to appoint nodal bodies and draw up protocols for the movement. According to the order, buses that will be used for transportation should be well sanitized and people must be screened upon arrival. This order is meant for stranded migrant workers, students, pilgrims and tourists. Meanwhile, the number of COVID-19 positive cases in India crossed 31,000 with 22,982 active cases. According to the Health Ministry, 1,008 people lost their lives due to the pandemic. In the last 3 days, the doubling rate of COVID-19 cases in the country has gone up to 11.3 days and the recovery rate to 24.5%. And the confirmed COVID-19 cases in the country saw a spike in the last 24 hours with 1,897 new cases and 73 deaths being reported. Total cases in India crossed the 31,000 mark, with at least 9 states reporting cases over 1,000.
Of these, 4 states have over 2,000 cases, 2 over 3,000, while Maharashtra has over 9,000 cases. With 729 new COVID-19 cases recorded on Tuesday, Maharashtra's tally has gone up to 9,318. The state also reported its highest single-day death toll of 31, pushing its total to 400. 1,388 people have recovered so far. Gujarat also saw a sharp rise in the coronavirus count in the last 24 hours as 196 people tested positive for the virus, taking the tally to 3,744. At least 181 people have died in the state, while 434 people have recovered so far. Total number of coronavirus cases in Delhi climbed to 3,314, with as many as 54 people losing their lives to it so far. The number of patients who were discharged from the hospital stood at 1,078. The number of COVID-19 cases has gone up to 2,387 in Madhya Pradesh. Of the total deaths in India after Maharashtra and Gujarat, Madhya Pradesh has the highest number of fatalities at 120. Rajasthan has so far recorded 2,364 cases of COVID-19 with 51 deaths.
जो प्रोटोकॉल है उसके हिसाब से जिन लोगों को सिम्टम्स नहीं है, जिसको एसिम्टोमेटिक कहते हैं या बहुत ही लाइट सिम्टम्स हैं, उनको घर में ही रख के आइसोलेट करके इलाज किया जा सकता है. उन सबको अस्पताल में जाने की आवश्यकता नहीं है. ये प्रोटोकॉल कर दिया गया है. बहुत तेज़ी से नहीं है. देखिएगा, पहले दिल्ली के अंदर डबलिंग जो स्पीड थी वो एक टाइम ऐसा था 4 या 5 दिन में हो रही थी. आज दिल्ली में डबलिंग की स्पीड 13 है, जो नेशनल एवरेज से भी ज़्यादा बेटर है. तो इसको ये नंबर्स पे जाने की जरूरत नहीं कि 200 नंबर है, क्योंकि आज जो बेस है वो 3,000 से ऊपर है. तो परसेंटेज ऑफ ग्रोथ पर डे ग्रोथ पहले 20% होती थी, फिर 12% रही. आज जो ग्रोथ रेट है वो 5 या 6% है.
प्रमुख कारण जो था वो तंग बस्तियों में रहने के कारण था. लोगों में जो इन्फेक्ट हुए हैं एक ही परिवार के लोग होते गए. हमारे हॉटस्पॉट अगर हम चिन्हित करें जिनमें 10 से ज़्यादा केसेस हैं तो वो नियमित मात्रा में निकले, यानी कि सिर्फ 20 या 21 ही ऐसे हॉटस्पॉट निकले. बाकी वहाँ से किसी का आवागमन लॉकडाउन का पूरी तरह से पालन ना हुआ हो, कोई व्यक्ति एक जगह से दूसरी जगह चला गया हो, तो वो भी एक कारण हो सकता है. एक और अन्य कारण में, जैसे कल हमारी एक डॉक्टर जो कि टाटपट्टी वाकल में ड्यूटी करती थी पर रहती वो किसी और क्षेत्र में थी, वो पॉजिटिव पाई गई, तो उनका क्षेत्र तो उनका घर ही कहलाएगा. इस तरह से कार्य क्षेत्र के कारण या कहीं आने जाने के कारण भी कई लोग संक्रमित हो जाते हैं और वास्तव में उस क्षेत्र में उस बीमारी का कोई संक्रमण नहीं होता.
Meanwhile, the Tamil Nadu government said the 4-day complete lockdown in Chennai, Coimbatore and Madurai will not be extended. Faced with rising COVID-19 cases, the Chief Minister had on the 24th of April announced a total shutdown in these cities. It also announced a relaxation in business hours of shops selling essential items including vegetables for the 30th of April, saying they can function from 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. Meanwhile, at least 70 state transport buses left from Maharashtra on Wednesday to bring back students stranded at Kota in Rajasthan due to the coronavirus enforced lockdown. The Gujarat government has also shifted around 6,000 stranded migrant workers to their native states of Rajasthan and Madhya Pradesh by state transport buses. The number of COVID-19 cases has gone up to 2,053 in Uttar Pradesh, 1,259 in Andhra Pradesh and 1,004 in Telangana. Tripura became the fifth state in the northeast to become COVID-19 free. The state had 2 cases, both of whom have been cured and discharged.
And 3 months after the first case of COVID-19 was reported in our country in Kerala on 30th of January and 35 days into the nationwide lockdown imposed on 25th of March, trends in India indicate that positive cases and fatalities have been consistently lower. They have also been linear and non-exponential.
Globally, the COVID-19 pandemic has affected over 31 lakh people and has caused over 2 lakh deaths. The worst sufferers are the most developed countries that have the best healthcare facilities. A comparative analysis shows the United States has over 3,000 COVID-19 cases per 10 lakh people. Among the European countries, Spain has over 4,900 infected people, while Italy has 3,333 COVID-19 cases, France over 2,500 COVID-19 positive people, and Germany close to 1,900 cases per 10 lakh population. The United Kingdom has 2,374 COVID-19 patients per 10 lakh people. All these numbers are significantly higher than India that has only 22 patients per 10 lakh. Much of this is attributed to India's proactive response in containing the virus. Strict restrictions including curtailing incoming flights and screening passengers followed by nationwide lockdown have proved very efficient. The lockdown has reduced the doubling rate from 3.5 to 7.5 days and even more than 10 days at present. India is carrying out targeted and focused testing with the total positive case detection rate at about 4.35%. Besides this, India, with a median age of just 27.9 years, is one of the youngest countries in the world. This is of particular importance, especially since those above 60 are the high-risk group. India has 77 people over 60 per 1,000 people as compared to 265 in Italy and 264 in Germany. While other countries picked an upward trend as early as the second week since their first case, India did not witness any rise until the 4th week. India is now in week 12. The analysis shows that in 12 weeks since the first recorded case in each country, cases in the US, Germany and France are 39, 9 and 11 times higher than India. But while these figures are encouraging, cases rose from 20,000 to 30,000 in India in only 8 days from April 22nd to April 29th. This indicates that India is in no position to let its guard down. Niti Aayog recommends increased pooled sample testing and antibody testing. It is also calling for rollback in the nationwide lockdown in a phased and staggered manner, ensuring that high-risk groups are encouraged to stay home, and it has also called for strict adherence to social distancing norms.
And the centre has asked the states to ensure that all private hospitals and clinics remain functional and provide critical services to non-COVID-19 patients.
In a letter to State Chief Secretaries, Union Health Secretary Preeti Sudan said the centre had received multiple reports of private hospitals turning away patients. She said many hospitals are hesitating to provide critical services like dialysis, blood transfusion, chemotherapy and institutional deliveries even to regular patients due to fear of contracting COVID-19. Referring to the guidelines issued to states on the 20th of April, the Health Secretary said it must be ensured that there is no disruption in essential medical services, which include reproductive and child health care, immunization, treatment of cancer and other ailments. Through the letter, the government also made it clear that no hospital can insist on a COVID-19 test before providing treatment. It said COVID-19 testing should be carried out only under the ICMR protocols.
And Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman has rebutted opposition allegations about willful defaulters and writing off bad loans worth 68,600 crore rupees. In a series of tweets, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said that Congress leaders Rahul Gandhi and Randeep Surjewala have tried to mislead people in a brazen manner.
In a series of tweets, Nirmala Sitharaman said that Congress leaders Rahul Gandhi and Randeep Surjewala have tried to mislead people in a brazen manner. She said between 2009-10 and 2013-14, during the UPA regime, scheduled commercial banks had written off 1,45,226 crore rupees. She added that provisions are made for NPAs as per the 4-year provisioning cycle laid down by the RBI, as per which the banks write off loans but continue to pursue recovery. She made it clear that no loans have been waived off. Quoting Raghuram Rajan, Sitharaman said that a large number of bad loans originated between 2006 and 2008, which were given to well-connected promoters with a history of defaulting. She also gave details of the action taken against defaulters like Nirav Modi, Mehul Choksi and Vijay Mallya. Rahul Gandhi had on Tuesday targeted the central government after an RTR reply by the RBI named the country's top 50 bank defaulters. He said the government did not answer his question over the issue in Lok Sabha in March. However, the finance minister also provided details of answers given to Rahul Gandhi's questions in Parliament. She said Congress Party and Rahul Gandhi should introspect why they failed to play a constructive role in cleaning up the system.
Today I was taken aback by Rahul Gandhi's comment that Modi government has waived off 65,000 crore rupees. Not a single paisa has been waived off. Writing off is not waiving off. Chidambaram must take a tuition and he must understand that this is not waiver. This process of writing off is a technical process to show the depositors the correct picture of bank. And therefore, this writing off doesn't stop banks from taking actions and from pursuing the recovery. And that is what is on.
And on to some other news. The Ministry of Human Resource Development today said that it is ready to conduct the pending board examinations of Class 10 and 12 at the first opportunity.
On Tuesday, HRD Minister Ramesh Pokhriyal Nishank had interacted with state education ministers. He directed them to start the evaluation process for the exams and facilitate the Central Board of Secondary Education in evaluation of answer sheets. On Wednesday, however, the Central Board of Secondary Education reiterated that its decision on conducting board exams in 29 subjects of classes 10 and 12 is unchanged and that it will conduct the exams at an appropriate date. Meanwhile, Delhi Education Minister Manish Sisodia suggested that CBSE exams be cancelled and students of class 10 and 12 be promoted on the basis of internal exams and assessments. Universities and schools across the country have been closed since March 16th, just before the centre announced a nationwide shutdown to contain the COVID-19 outbreak.
And Tripura is one of the few states in the country to have been able to declare itself as coronavirus free. Speaking exclusively to Rajya Sabha television, Chief Minister of Tripura, Biplab Kumar Deb, said that his government will enforce new rules, making wearing of face masks mandatory in all offices and public places. Here is a report.
सबसे पहले ये बताएं कि फिलहाल जो आंकड़े आ रहे हैं उसमें
In an exclusive interview with Rajya Sabha television, Tripura Chief Minister Biplab Kumar Deb has said that the state government will ensure that the measures and restrictions under lockdown, barring some relaxations as per the advisories of the central government, are followed. There are no cases of the coronavirus disease in Tripura after 2 infected people recovered.
2 केसेस तो त्रिपुरा में आई थी, वो भी ट्रेन से ही वहाँ से दिल्ली से जो हमारा एक्सप्रेस ट्रेन आई थी, उसी में जो सवारी थे उसी में से आई थी। तो वो दोनों भी बाद में हॉस्पिटलाइज्ड हुई थी और दोनों त्रिपुरेश्वरी माँ के आशीर्वाद से सुस्थ होकर अपने घर में वापस चले गए हैं और अभी त्रिपुरा में ऐसा कोई पॉजिटिव केस नहीं है।
The Chief Minister also said that the state government will unveil measures to increase activities in the primary sectors, including agriculture, fisheries, dairy, and animal husbandry, in order to tackle the adverse economic impact of the COVID-19 lockdown.
जो प्राइमरी सेक्टर को हमने प्रायोरिटी दिया है, बाकी इंडस्ट्रियल सेक्टर बाद में क्या होगा अलग विषय है। दूसरा, साथ ही साथ आपको ग्रेडिंग तो करना ही पड़ेगा, ग्रेडिंग करके कैसे कौन कौन सेक्टर कैसे खुलेंगे स्टेप बाय स्टेप। आप एक साथ नहीं खुल सकते हैं, एक साथ नहीं कर सकते, एक साथ अपने पब्लिक व्हीकल नहीं चला सकते हैं और इसके लिए प्राइवेट व्हीकल चलना, उसको मेंटेन करना। इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में हमने रोड की काम त्रिपुरा में शुरू कर दिया है क्योंकि नेशनल हाईवे में त्रिपुरा में बड़े मात्रा में केंद्र सरकार ने पैसा दिया है, तो इसमें लगभग 2000 करोड़ का काम अभी शुरू होने वाला है कि अभी सीजन है, उसके बाद बारिश का सीजन आ ही गया, साइक्लोन भी त्रिपुरा में आ गया, बाद में आपको 6, 7, 8 महीना नहीं मिलेगी। तो इसलिए अभी इसको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर में काम करना और इसके लिए जो जो व्यवस्था करना, सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मेंटेन करके त्रिपुरा सरकार के इंडस्ट्री डिपार्टमेंट ने उस दिशा में दिशा निर्देश देके काम शुरू किया। हमारे त्रिपुरा में छोटे एरिया है किंतु अभी 50 छोटे इंडस्ट्री चलना शुरू हो गया है और उसमें जो 50% जो एम्प्लॉय आए, हमने 100% नहीं बोला, 50% आए, सोशल डिस्टेंसिंग मेंटेन करे किंतु काम का समय ज्यादा करे, 8 घंटे के बदले में 12 घंटा करे, नेक्स्ट डे जो आए वो भी 12 घंटा करे। तो काम उतना ही हो रहा है, संख्या कम है, आपको काम समय ज्यादा रहना पड़ेगा। तो इस तरीके से किसी भी हालत में जो कोरोना के कारण से, जो लॉकडाउन के कारण से हम घर में रह गया, तो उसको कैसे निकाला जाए, उस स्थिति में त्रिपुरा में हर जगह पे, चाहे आप पावर सेक्टर में हो, इंडस्ट्री सेक्टर में हो, एग्रीकल्चर सेक्टर में हो, एविएशन सेक्टर तो सेंट्रल गवर्नमेंट की विषय है, तो उस सब विषय में राज्य सरकार ने काम किया।
They've also said that the Agartala Municipal Corporation Smart City project has built a mobile COVID-19 testing van in which swab samples are collected by medical experts from inside a glass encasement, minimizing their risk of exposure to the disease. This kind of testing van is the first of its kind in the northeastern region. Kriti Mishra's report for Rajya Sabha TV.
Parliament is not in session, but members are in their constituencies doing their bit and lending their hand in combating the COVID-19 challenge, comforting people.
Rajya Sabha Chairman M. Venkaiah Naidu said that he had been speaking to all the members of the Rajya Sabha over the phone during the lockdown. Sources close to the chairman said that he has also interacted with governors, chief ministers, political leaders and media persons during the COVID-19 crisis. Terming his engagement efforts as Mission Connect, Chairman Naidu has also reached out to former presidents and prime ministers and present and former chief justices. Besides inquiring about the well-being of the leaders and their families, the chairman seeks their assessment of the COVID-19 situation and details of their engagement since the lockdown was imposed on March 25th. Of the 245 members of the Rajya Sabha, Naidu has spoken to 241 members of the upper house, including those retired and re-elected recently. He has also spoken to former presidents Shri Pranab Mukherjee and Pratibha Patil and former prime ministers Dr. Manmohan Singh and H.D. Devegowda. Some of the leaders that Naidu has reached out to include Leader of the House Thawar Chand Gehlot, Leader of the Opposition Ghulam Nabi Azad, J.P. Nadda, Sharad Pawar and P. Chidambaram.
And now the global update. The number of infections due to COVID-19 pandemic has crossed the 3 million mark globally and more than 218,000 deaths have been reported worldwide.
The United States continues to be at the top with the highest death toll of 59,266 and over 1 million people infected. US President Donald Trump has said that the United States is considering coronavirus testing on some international flights to contain its spread.
Yeah, we're looking at doing it on the international flights coming out of areas that are heavily infected. As you know, Brazil is getting to that category. I think they're going to be okay. I hope they're going to be okay. very good friend of mine.
Meanwhile, some of the worst hit countries in Europe saw some encouraging signs with lesser number of cases and deaths. In Italy, the number of deaths on Tuesday was 382, bringing the total fatalities to 27,359. Over 2 lakh people in the country are infected. Spain's health ministry on Tuesday said there has been a fall in the number of new COVID-19 cases and deaths in the country. The ministry reported 301 deaths in the past 24 hours, taking the total death toll to over 23,800. The overall COVID-19 cases in the country is at 2,32,128. France, with 23,261 deaths and a total of 1,65,911 cases, and the United Kingdom with over 21,000 deaths and over 1,60,000 cases, are among the worst affected European nations. South Korea reported 9 more cases on Wednesday, raising the total number of infections to 10,761. The death toll rose to 246 after 2 more deaths were reported. Meanwhile, Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe said on Wednesday that it is impossible to host the Tokyo Olympic Games next year unless the coronavirus pandemic is contained. The total number of infections in the country is at 13,895 with 394 deaths. Meanwhile, China on Wednesday announced that it will hold its annual parliament session from May 22nd. The decision comes as the country is returning to normal after being on a near standstill for months due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The session was initially scheduled to start on March 5th. The virus has infected nearly 83,000 people and killed more than 4,600 in China so far.
And the BRICS nations on Tuesday resolved to create a special fund of $15 million to rebuild their post-COVID-19 economies.
Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov, who initiated the meeting, said BRICS nations have agreed to increase bilateral partnership at international organizations like the UN, G20, WHO, WTO, IMF and the World Bank. He said a special loan instrument will be set up to finance projects for economic rebuilding in BRICS countries. The new development bank will allocate up to $15 billion for loans to help BRICS nations boost their economies after the pandemic. External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar represented India at the BRICS video conference. He noted that BRICS has an important role in shaping the global economic and political architecture. Jaishankar also highlighted the initiatives and decisive steps taken by India through the Arogya Setu Citizen app and the Pradhan Mantri Garib Kalyan Yojana. He said much before WHO declared the outbreak a global public health emergency, India had already instituted measures to check its spread. Jaishankar also apprised the BRICS foreign ministers about the initiative to coordinate efforts against the spread of COVID-19 in South Asia and the creation of the COVID-19 Emergency Response Fund by SAARC nations. He also emphasized the need to focus on the loss of economic activity across sectors. He said countries need to provide support to businesses, especially MSMEs, to tide over the crisis and ensure that livelihoods are not lost.
The main task of post-corona period will be to start the economy again. And we cannot expect from the big business, the main onus would be on MSMEs. And that is why a $15 billion fund has been created by BRICS nations so that it can be transferred to the governments and government may give to MSME so that maximum economic activities are ensured and also maximum people can be employed in small and medium businesses. Akhilesh Suman for Rajya Sabha Television in Delhi.
And on to some other news now. The portals of the Kedarnath temple were opened on Wednesday after a 6-month-long winter break. The first puja was performed on the behalf of Prime Minister Narendra Modi, and only members of the Shrine Committee and administrative officials attended it.
This was the first time when the Abhishek and Aarti were conducted in the absence of devotees, as the Lordship Shrine opened as per schedule amid the COVID-19 lockdown. No one was allowed to visit the temple. The temple was decorated with 10 quintals of flowers. The portals of the 4 famous Himalayan shrines, Kedarnath, Badrinath, Gangotri and Yamunotri open every year between April and May after a 6-month closure. The Gangotri and Yamunotri shrines opened on 26th of April on Akshay Tritiya, while Badrinath will open on 15th of May.
And renowned actor Irfan Khan passed away in a Mumbai hospital today after a long battle with cancer. He was 53. He was admitted in the intensive care unit of the Kokilaben Hospital in Mumbai with a colon infection. President Ramnath Kovind, Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and prominent personalities from all walks of life including Amitabh Bachchan, Lata Mangeshkar and Shujit Sarkar have condoled his death. And with that, I'll take your leave. Don't forget to tune in tomorrow at the same time for all the day's big stories. Thanks for watching. Good night and take care.